All right. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I'll name this segment later. Spit that grease, bacon bits. We'll see how it goes. We're working on it. We're working on it. But big ups to everybody who's coming up with names and helping to contribute. I very much appreciate it. All right. So as the title has given me away, I'm sure we're going to talk about the weekly grill fill segment. And I decided after, I think that was episode 3, was it? Maybe? Might have been episode 3. I don't know, because I've lost 2 of them. Maybe it was episode 4, where PPP kind of subliminally put out, hey, if anybody has a suggestion for what they want me to grill fill on, let them know or whatever. I decided I was going to make a wish list of things that I'd like to see, and I'll just put it out there into the fucking vortex, and we'll see what happens. You guys have anything in particular you want to suggest, leave it down in the comment section below. I don't have any connection to PPP. This is just me throwing my own thoughts out there. But for the first one, you know, the inaugural segment for this, I thought, what would be a great thing for DSP to go at, or what PPP, or Triple P as I like to call them, could go after DSP on. That is public. PPP said, hey, you put your life out there, you put people in your life out there, it's fair game, right? So I'm thinking, okay, obviously Panda Lee would be the person to go after. But I don't, instead of asking about the emergency thing or whatever, which that stuff's going to come up anyway, I wanted to be a bit more particular, a bit more specific, if you will, on what was on a particular question for PPP to grill them on. So I've come up with, I have a bunch of them actually, but the one in particular that I want to go for is, I want PPP to grill DSP on what happened with him and Panda that last month or so leading up to her leaving. And as a, you know, this kind of goes together, flows together, but maybe this is 2 questions. Why is it that he held so much resentment against her when she left? Now, most of you are going to be like, hey, Golden, come on, bro. Yo, GTG, come on, bro. You know his resentment was his live-in mommy/maid was leaving him and shit. His child bride, who he was never going to marry, was leaving him, and that's what he's mad about. No. I mean, it could be. I'm sure it's a contributing factor. But no. The real reason why is because I think Panda cheated on him. I think Panda was like, you know, if you're going to treat me like shit, 2 can tango, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do this, I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to go out there and show that I can get whoever I want, or I can do whatever I want, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it because you're nothing more than a fucking rotted potato on this fucking love seat in your fucking lame-ass office. And my contributing factor to that is I believe that Catherine and Phil Burnell, Catherine St. Jean and Phil Paul Burnell were talking to each other, but have spoken to each other prior to June 1st of 2017. Which is that situation that happened on Twitter. You can still find it. It's under Chaos Realm on Twitter's, under that Twitter account. It's the first and only time that we saw them communicate with each other. But I'm pretty confident that's not the first time they spoke to each other. I'm pretty confident. That's the first time publicly they spoke to each other. But that wasn't the first time they actually spoke to each other. So, hypothetical, what if, right? You know, not exactly a theory, whatever the case may be. What if DSP was speaking to Catherine, or Cat, as early as February or March of 2017, which leads to a lot of the tension, the stress, the eventual panic attack or anxiety attack or whatever it was that Panda went through. What if it wasn't that their relationship was falling apart and the money and all my fucking addiction and my drinking and all this bullshit, yada yada yada, the gotcha game bullshit? What if Panda caught him slipping? What if Panda caught him slipping, texting her, because Phil has said it himself, their whole relationship, they were texting each other. You're telling me that they literally started talking to each other off of that one tweet on June 1st of 2017? No. I think Phil just happened to see the tweet and he answered it to it. I think they were speaking before that. And what if Panda saw a text message? Which is all it really could have been. And she's like, who's this? What's this about? You know what I'm saying? I'm not necessarily talking about a gamer Nicole situation. I got a video coming up on that. Not talking necessarily about that. But what if she caught him lacking? And she's like, you know what? All right, fuck it. I'm going to go out there and do it too. If you can play, I can play. And she came back and threw it in his face. And he was like, well, dinner's still going to be you're still going to be home for dinner, right? You're still making dinner, right? All right, well, as long as dinner's on, as long as Din Din's on the table, bitch, I don't care. Whatever. And then eventually she's just like, I can't do this. Either we're together or we're not, and I'm not going to sit here and be your fucking roommate. And she picked up and left. What if that was the actual case? Now, this is hypothetical pig and nose, it's our favorite game. But what if that was the actual situation? And the reason why he holds his resentment is the fact that he got caught slipping. And then she threw it up in his face, which would be considered the ultimate betrayal. On top of the fact that she actually left. See, there's so much more to that fucking Panda Lee DSP breakup than what we know, obviously. Because we know so little that I can continue to speculate all I want on it. But I'm starting to wonder if... Well, I've always suspected that she cheated on him. I think most people feel that way. Whether you do or not is incidental. That's how I feel. You're welcome to feel any way you see fit. But I've always leaned towards she cheated on him. Because the moment she left that house and she got a job, she saw what life could have been. Now, with that being said, she very well could have changed her stance on education, on travel. She always wanted to travel, maybe on having a family, all these different things. Remember, she sat there and bought a fake engagement ring and slash wedding ring and was masquerading around the house with that shit for who knows how long. It could have been a month or two. It could have been longer than months. Let's say months. And DSP was completely oblivious to it. He didn't care. It's not that I don't think he didn't notice it. I think he just didn't care. And I think it pissed her off. And I think between the situation with the fake wedding ring or engagement ring, and then her possibly going out there talking to one of these guys that was probably flirting with her at her job at the mall and whatnot. She'd probably gone out to coffee with them a couple times. They got cool or whatever. And maybe she did something, maybe she didn't. Maybe she wanted to make it look like she did something. Who cares? And she tried to throw it up in Phil's face to see what he would react, and he didn't react to anything. He didn't care. He's like, "Yeah, is dinner still gonna be on the table? Okay, well, I don't give a fuck, bitch. I don't really care. Whatever. As long as the house is clean, as long as the laundry's done, as long as Din Din's on the table, I don't care. I really don't." And I honestly think that's how Phil felt. And I think once she realized that, she's like, "I gotta get out of here. Sorry, I have to get out of here. I don't want to sit around and live like this. I don't want to exist like this." And I think DSP never thought he could. I think DSP never thought she'd leave him. I think, honestly, DSP looked at it as, I uprooted you out of Pennsylvania. I brought you all the way over here to Washington State. Where are you going to go? And I think he really thought he had her trapped until she wasn't. And I think, as it pertains to DSP's greed, it's funny and it's ironic. His greed is what came back to haunt him, as it always does. The moment she got herself a job, he lost control of her. He lost influence over her. She started to want things. She now had the means in some way to obtain it. Now, why do you think he was not as enthusiastic about her getting her license? Why do you think he let her keep taking the bus to go to those driving lessons and whatnot, those driving courses, instead of taking her himself? He wanted her to quit. He wanted her to be just locked in the house all day, or just take the bus to. Because wait a second, I don't think she actually went to work. She had a job yet. Yeah, when she finally went to go and start getting her license, I don't think she had a job yet. If my lore is correct, I don't think she had a job yet. But obviously, by the time she got a job, I'm pretty sure she had her license by then. But why didn't he encourage that further? You could have literally split the responsibilities. There's so much more that could have been done between the two of you. Why did he always want to keep her locked down on that whole Tuesday mommy type thing? Let's go and run errands and then get food and then come home type shit. Why was that? It was a way of maintaining control over her. And then, like I said, once he panicked and said, "Hey, I need you to get a job," and she was like, "All right then," and she found one, and she worked around people her own age, and there were guys around her who saw her as somewhat attractive, or at least fairly attractive, and she was getting attention from other people. She realized, I deserve more. I can do more, I can be more, I deserve more. And DSP thought, I got her out there working and whatever, and I can still play my video games as long as dinner's ready. Who gives a shit? I really think that should be. I think that's what what PPP or Triple P is like to call. That's what he should actually ask him about. And he should ask him. Here's the third one. He should ask him about, hey, why did you respond to Catherine on June 1st of 2017 to that tweet about OBS. What was your connection to her before that? Do you just randomly answer tweets to people that you don't know? If he words it right, he'll catch them. I know he will, because I know I could. You know what I'm saying? Any fucking detractor with any kind of common sense would be able to catch him. So I'm pretty confident that if PPP presents him, hey, what happened with you and Panda in that last month or two until her moving out? Why did you answer? How did you know Catherine before this? Because Phil told us the official story is that him and Catherine just randomly met online. He don't say how, he don't say where. And Catherine was on Twitch. She was on Instagram. She was on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Did she slide into his whispers on Twitch? Did she slide into his DMs on Instagram, or did he slide into hers? He felt comfortable enough to answer her tweet, not that she was tweeting it at him, but to answer a public tweet that she made. So he had to have been speaking to her before that. Now, I've been keeping this under my hat for a while because, you gotta, you know what I'm saying? I've learned as being a detractor, sometimes you gotta sit back and you gotta let shit play out. You gotta let that bacon kind of sizzle and whatnot and let it cook evenly and thoroughly to get to the texture that you want. You can't just flash cook everything or whatever. Just because I'm excited because I cut the bacon off his back doesn't mean I should cook it in a rush. So it makes me wonder, and it makes me think, what was the real circumstances behind that? I think for PPP, that's a gold mine. Because now it's open season on Cat. He can shit on her all he wants, and he said, hey, I said what I said, and I stand by it. So now, why not pry a little bit further on it? Phil don't give a shit. Phil don't care. He wasn't even man enough to stand on business. He had to go to the chat and be like, what should I do? How should the king dispense justice and whatnot for the queen of the Snort Fort? He wasn't even man enough to pass judgment on his own. He wasn't even man enough to stand on that shit on his own. And then the apology PPP gave him wasn't even an apology. He placated him. He was like, oh, well, if you feel a certain type of way about it, I'm sorry. It's not an apology, bro. It's whatever. I'll save that for a whole nother video. That wasn't even an apology. But then again, PPP does to DSP during these grill Phil segments same shit that DSP does to other people when he's confronted with shit. And that's kind of not brilliance. It's the funny genius type meta that goes that a wrestling fan would grasp. The theatrics, if you will. The theater in it, the performance, if you will. That comes out of wrestling and so on and so forth. And he's literally turning DSP's own motives and excuses and shit against him. And it's fantastic to watch. Now, I understand for most people it's going to get boring, it's going to get tired, yada, yada, yada. But there's a far deeper meta into it. If you don't see it, you don't see it. And no one should force you to do anything otherwise. But I see the vision to some degree. I see the vision, to be honest. Because PPP knows, especially now, that DSP is never going to really rise up against them at all. Whatever phantom hits that PPP throws at him, DSP's just going to take it. And he's going to be like, thank you, sir, man, have another. So fucking A, bro. I mean, he doesn't have to, he can build up to those three particular questions I have. But eventually he'll get there. But I think between those three questions, hey, what happened with you and PPP, you and Panda those last few months? When did you feel confident enough to reach out to Catherine, and how long were you talking to Catherine? Just between some of the scenarios that I've presented you today, I think it opens up, it gets the noggin jogging, if you will, and how PPP decides to spin that and work it in his own way is whatever. Because at the end of the day, PPP, quote unquote, is going to sweep for him at the end and say, oh, well, now that you've given me some type of answer, after mocking him for 10 straight minutes, I don't see a need for me to speak about this anymore, my Lord of Snorts. We can just go ahead and let this go. You know what I'm saying? Another episode of Grill Phil. The Gouty throne was attacked, but it's been defended properly. The Snort Fort still stands. You fucking detractors and detractors, trolls, haters, and critics. You know what I'm saying? He can play it into a whole fucking narrative. But whatever he gets out of it, though, will give us a further piece to that particular puzzle. Did none of you, as I close this up, have none of you ever really thought about that? And I don't fault you if you didn't. You know what I'm saying? And whatnot. Life comes at you fast. And you got shit. You got other shit you need to prioritize for. You got assholes like me that did the shit for you. You never thought about what made him comfortable, what made DSP comfortable enough to reach out to her on Twitter publicly that day? Why not send her a DM? Did any of you ever really think about how did they first actually start speaking to each other? Did someone slide into someone's DMs? You had those Twitch.tv whispers. You have Instagram. DSP was heavily active over there. She was too, kind of, around that time. So it doesn't have to be just Twitter. Twitter is when they finally came out front-faced about it. But how long, when did they actually start talking and where did they do it? More importantly, how long ago? My thought process is DSP was talking to Catherine while Panda was still there. Panda found out, felt a certain type of way about it. She was already feeling a certain type of way, being that she had a job. She was taking on more financial responsibilities. She was finding herself as a person. And she was looking at, now that she was out of the pignosis, X amount of hours a day, she's coming to realize, you know what, you're just a lazy slob and you're not going to do anything. You're not going to amount to anything. Maybe these people who shit on you online, maybe they're justified in some way. Is she going to tell him that? No. Wouldn't be surprised if that ran through her head, though. If she didn't realize, hey, maybe some of these people are right about you. And what are you going to do better for yourself? What are you going to do to be better and do right by me? Panda saying this, or thinking this. And Phil wouldn't have had an answer. He would have made the same excuses on why him and Catherine can't go on a honeymoon now. She knew that he was never going to marry her. He was going to string her along for as long as he could. But she knew he was never going to put a ring on that shit. And when he finally did, in his own words, it was just a band-aid for the situation. That's all that chick meant to you, dude? She was a fucking band-aid? Just something else to keep her in pocket? Anywho, what are your thoughts? How do you feel about the situation? Thank you guys very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. I'll name this segment later, and like I said, I'll follow this up with another episode. If you guys have a particular suggestion, let me know, and I'll try to lay it out, especially if it's something I'm already thinking about anyway. Or if not, I'm willing to step up to that particular challenge. But this might be an ongoing series within a series, to be honest with you, because there's so many different angles PPP could hit him at. And the surface level lore is great, but the stuff that branches out or is linked to some of those sagas could be even more interesting. It's a deeper answer that maybe some of us, I should say, are really looking for. Because, the detractor community is kind of split up in the fact that people just like surface level knowledge, surface level lore, and then deep lore. You know what I'm saying? There are questions within questions. There are snorts within snorts around this bitch. And it'd be kind of cool to get some clarification. And we all know how the Grill Fill segment works, and PPP will dog them. And DSP will slip. Anything to get up out of that knot. That Sicilian necktie, if you will. So it makes you wonder how far PPP could take one of those things. Depending on circumstances, of course. Anywho, like I said, thank you very much for listening in. Very much appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys for the next one soon, obviously. These are going to come out pretty consistent, I think, at least for a little while. Take care of yourselves, people. Later.